Picture, if you will, a small plot of land in New York known as Lakeview Cemetery, where down this road leads to the final resting place of a man who gave us such delights and frights with a TV show known as The Twilight Zone. It is inside this small but very beautiful and old cemetery where you'll find the final resting place of the one and only Rod Serling. And that is who we are going to be visiting today. If you're watching this video right now, chances are you're probably a fan of the TV show The Twilight Zone. You might even have a favorite episode or two. I know we do. Now, when it comes to talking about the life of Rod Serling, I feel like we can spend a good deal amount of time doing that. But because we're Twilight Zone fans, that is pretty much what we're going to focus on. And with that, we're going to talk about his death. You see, Rod Serling died at the age of 50. It was June 28th, 1975. And if you didn't know this, Rod Serling was said to have smoked 2 to 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's a lot. He suffered 2 heart attacks, and the doctors decided that he needed open heart surgery, so he went in for surgery. Sadly, Rod Serling had a 3rd heart attack on the operating table, and then he died a couple days later trying to recover. He was buried here in this cemetery in a very simple yet beautifully haunting plot. Because this is not a very big cemetery, it's actually pretty easy to find the final resting place of Rod Serling. It's towards the back of the cemetery, and if you come out here with Google Maps, you can pretty much pinpoint right to it, GPS right to it, and get there. I think for me, my favorite episode of The Twilight Zone is an episode called Time Enough at Last. It stars Burgess Meredith, where he plays a bank worker who loves to read. And on his lunch breaks, he would go down to the vault, lock himself inside, and read his books. Well, one day, on a lunch break, a nuclear bomb goes off and destroys everything in the world, and he now has time enough at last to read all of his books. So he goes outside, and right across the street from the bank, there's a library, and there's books everywhere. And he bends down to pick up a book, and his glasses fall off, his Coke bottle glasses, and then they break, and then he can't find them anymore. It's one of those things where pretty much every Twilight Zone episode, it was like a lesson in morality, if you will, the human condition, where it wasn't necessarily horror, and it wasn't necessarily science fiction, but there was always some sort of twist ending. It was an amazing show. Now, don't quote me on this, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Rod Serling's favorite episode was Time Enough at Last as well. It's definitely an episode that sticks with you. It really is a beautiful day. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little wrong visiting the final resting place of Rod Serling when the sun is out like this. But his final resting place is right over here. The wind is really starting to pick up. And as you can see, there are a lot of trinkets, a lot of mementos on Rod Serling's grave. But it says Rodman E. Serling. E stands for Edward. He was in the Army, World War II. He was born December 25th, 1924. And again, he died June 28th, 1975. He was 50 years old. When it comes to the trinkets on Rod Serling's gravestone, there really is a little bit of everything. But I love that right there in the center of your screen, right smack dab in the center of the gravestone itself, is the gremlin from Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. The wind is really starting to pick up, isn't it? You know, we may not have been alive when the Twilight Zone first aired, but I think I can safely say that at least us, you and I, we pretty much grew up on the Twilight Zone. So being here, paying our respects, seeing the final resting place of Rod Serling, it's amazing. And with that, Mr. Serling, we want to say thank you for giving us countless nightmares and inspiring so many to tell stories, inspiring so many in the world of horror. Our journey into the Twilight Zone now brings us to the hometown of Rod Serling, a place known as Binghamton. And the first stop is Rod Serling's childhood home. All right, so Rod Serling was actually born in Syracuse, New York, but his family moved here to this house in Binghamton, I think it was like 1926. And basically he grew up in this house. He lived here all the way up until he joined the Army for World War II. Oh wow, look at this. Just notice the giant old school TV antenna on the roof. How fitting is that? Come to think of it, is it just me? Or does this house scream Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone? It could be the black and white color, but I think it's quite fitting. It makes sense that he grew up here. Our next stop into the Twilight Zone brings us to the high school of Rod Serling, where they have this plaque out front, and it says, "In honor of Rod Serling, class of 1943, creator of Twilight Zone, award-winning dramatist, playwright, and lecturer, 1924 to 1975. This is cool. Anything that actually says Rod Serling's name on it, I'm here for. His old high school sits on a main road, which gives this like really interesting soundscape of traffic flying by, as well as the birds. But what's really cool about this, I love seeing plaques with Rod Serling's name on it, because you come here and they're very proud of the history. But not too many places put out plaques around town. I mean, we're gonna see more of them. I just love it. Like, I love being here. Using your imagination, you can just imagine a young Rod Serling walking through those doors. One thing we notice about this place, the more you walk around the town, the more you start seeing things that possibly have inspired Rod Serling to create the Twilight Zone, like the episodes. And then we found this. There is a Rod Serling mural on the side of an art museum here in town. And it is beautiful. It's massive. Look at that. If you come out here in search of the mural, it is next to the entrance to the Bundy Museum. Just know you can't see it from the street. Now they are closed today, which is sad, because if they were open, we'd be able to take the cameras inside and see the Rod Serling archives. But I love this. This just made my day. We found that a lot of times with things like this, when you have these really beautiful, elaborate murals, a lot of times people paint over them. They just disappear over time. Maybe it's because this one is kind of hidden from the main road, that it still exists. But you can come out here, you can see it, and get your picture with it. And it is amazing. And how cool is this? Behind his face, you actually have the words to the opening to the TV show. I see the clock and the eyeball. Well done. The last stop on our Twilight tour brings us to a place known as Recreation Park, which is actually right down the street from where Rod Serling grew up. And it is here where you'll find a statue dedicated to him. This is probably one of the coolest statues I've ever seen in my life. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Let's have a quick walk around the memorial. Because from all sides, it is just really amazing to look at. I've seen people even come out here and they climb up there and they get a picture standing right next to Rod Serling. Man, this is cool. Down here at the base, there's a quote, and it says, "Everybody has to have a hometown. Binghamton's mine, Rod Serling." I like that you can see the little square there. It has his picture on it, Rod Serling Memorial Foundation. All right, The Twilight Zone, Season 1, Episode 5 is called Walking Distance. And basically it follows a man by the name of Martin Sloan who finds himself in his hometown, the home that he grew up in, although things have not changed. It's a very, very spooky, but yet beautiful nod to Rod Serling's childhood, if you will. In fact, right here in the park, they have a bandstand that's very similar to the episode. In fact, right here in the center of the bandstand, there's a plaque that says Rod Serling, creator of the Twilight Zone, and it has the episode title, Walking Distance. You know what? Let me clear something up real quick. They did not film the episode Walking Distance here in this park in Rod Serling's hometown, but they did pull inspiration from it. Don't believe me? Let me show you. In the episode Walking Distance, the adult Martin Sloan encounters a younger version of himself carving his name into the pillars of the bandstand, something he remembered doing whenever he was 11 years old. It's one of the things that kind of gives him the indication that something is not right. Now, as for the inspiration, so we have the bandstand on the left. You see Jessica sitting on the bench right there? So if I put the camera right about here, you see that building off in the distance? That is an actual carousel. In the episode Walking Distance, there's a shot very similar to this, where you see the bandstand and you see the carousel. It's a Dutch angle, and this is where basically the episode happens. Pretty cool, right? Now, just for the sake of being, I walked around and looked at every single pillar that's on here, and I do not see Martin Sloan's name carved into here. Both the bandstand and the carousel were here whenever Rod Serling was growing up in this town. And they've both been pretty well preserved. And the fun thing about the carousel is it's free to ride. It's open during the summer. And when you get inside there are pictures that are a nod to the Twilight Zone. So it is closed right now, sadly. But we're trying to get a hold of somebody who can come out here and at least let us in to just walk around and see the murals, the paintings on the actual carousel itself. Don't know if it's going to happen, so we're just going to walk up to it right now and look through the windows. So these would have been front doors over here. Well, where they are today. Just look how beautiful that is. An indoor carousel, recreation park, carousel rules, all written right there as soon as you walk in. And then the Twilight Zone murals that I was pointing out, that I was talking about, are all along the outside circle of the carousel itself. Don't know how good this is going to turn out. Going to try to capture as many as possible. There's another one. Again, these are basically painted murals from each one of the Twilight Zone episodes. That one right there is actually from the Walking Distance episode that we're referencing. You can see him on the carousel, Martin Sloan. There's one of Rod Serling himself with the bandstand. Now, the windows are dirty, of course. I wish that I can get a cleaner shot. But this might just have to do. Some of the windows are frosted, so I can't get a good shot of some of the murals. So here's 3 of them right here. Can you imagine growing up in a town where they have a carousel in the park that you can ride for free? This blows my mind. So they were kind enough to come out here to turn the lights on and allow us to walk through and just see it. Like walking history right now. I'm at a loss for words. So they're kind enough to let us in. They turn the lights on. Now we can't get the horses moving right now because it is too hot, but we are going to turn the music on. And we're hoping that the paper, with all the humidity, it's going to sound pretty decent. But at least we'll get to hear a little bit of how this sounds. Massively huge Twilight Zone thank you to the Binghamton Parks and Recreation for opening this up for us. Because it is closed today because it is so hot. But they're kind enough to come in here in this hot house and just kind of walk it with us. This is cool. This is cool. Since we got the murals through the window, I figure we'll just really concentrate on the carousel itself. Well, on the other side, I do believe is the one that has Rod Serling's face on it, so we're going to go ahead and show that one real quick. We definitely have to come back when it's a lot cooler and ride this. Talk about breathtaking and beautiful. All right, this just made our trip. I didn't think this could get any cooler, but it just did. So this is the bell that when it's rung, it symbolizes the ride is about to begin, like the horses, the carousel is going to start going. And they're letting me ring it. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. That's cool. That's cool. And there they go, turning off the lights. We will be back, I promise. We will be back. Because of what we do, Grim Life and YouTube, we were able to visit the indoor carousel up in Santa Cruz, California that was used in The Lost Boys. And then all the way on the other side of the country in Binghamton, where Rod Serling grew up, the inspiration, the carousel that inspired Rod Serling to write some of the most terrifyingly beautiful episodes of the Twilight Zone. Does it get any cooler than this? I also want to point this out. Right at the front doors on a light pole is a sign that says, "No profanity, please. Young ears are listening." Never in a million years, never in our wildest dreams did we ever think that we'd actually get to do something like this. I mean, visiting the grave of Rod Serling, the town where he grew up in. I guess it's something that truly can be done, only in the Twilight Zone. Thank you for joining us on another grim adventure. Until next time, happy Halloween.